Jai Jagannath. Okay, so we are recording. Right, we were talking about the concepts of vyakta and avyakta, which means manifested and non-manifested. So we have seen how both these concepts can be applied on the material level and on the spiritual level, but in different ways. To understand better this quite, puzzling concept, we can make the example, like Krishna is making the example in the Bhagavad Gita of the tree. In the chapter of Purushottama Yoga, it presents a banyan tree that has the branches growing downwards like roots and the roots growing upwards like branches. So it's like a reflection. The material world can be considered as a reflection of the spiritual existence. So we said that Shakti is always present, both in the spiritual and the material world, because the Shakti manifests everything. Without Shakti, God is powerless, literally. So Shakti is also there in the spiritual world as Yoga Maya, Ladini Shakti, and in the material world she is present as the Mahamaya, the Kali, the time. Okay. Now we discussed about how we are actually, as Jivatmans, we are all everywhere. So we are all connected. We are only separated and differentiated by the different levels of consciousness, or better, by the layers of non-consciousness that we still wear. So, as we said before, the only way to achieve moksha, liberation, is to simply drop the material identifications and attachments. So these are superimpositions on the mind. They're just layers of accumulated dirt, we could say. So if we wash away these layers of dirt or material identifications, material attachments, then we can see, we can feel, we can realize that we are all one. We are all connected. We are all parts of the body of the Supreme. So this Supreme Tattva is at the same time Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Bhagavan is also omnipresent. It's not that only the Brahman is omnipresent because it's not manifested. Actually, Brahman is easier to understand than Paramatma and Bhagavan. The people who think that Brahman is more difficult to understand than Bhagavan have a limited mentality. So this is why Bhakti has two levels. The first level is sadhana bhakti, in which our mind is still limited by material identification. So it's difficult for us to really understand Bhagavan. We just approach Bhagavan on a material level. Then, as Krishna says in the end of the Gita, conclusion of the Gita, Brahma bhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankshati samak sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. We achieve the actual bhakti, param bhaktim, alabhate. We achieve, we obtain, we attain this real bhakti, this transcendental spiritual bhakti, only after we have attained the level, the existence of Brahman, Brahma Bhuta. And how we can see that? Prasannatma. We are always happy and satisfied. We are not worried and we don't aspire to anything. Na sochati, na kankshati. And we are equally disposed to all beings. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu. Bhuteshu means living beings and also situations, conditions of life. And this is how you can see if a person is actually on the level of Brahman, which is on the level of moksha. In the case of someone who still has a body, a material body, it is called Jivan Mukta. Okay, so you can see if a person is a Jivan Mukta if that person sees everyone with the same approach. Like we were mentioning the verse of Gita, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Suni Chaiva Swapakacha Pandita Samadarshina is saying in the same way. Brahmane, a Brahmana, Gavi, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. Someone, an uncivilized person who eats dogs. Okay. It's the Atman. It's all Atman Brahman. Now, the point is that you see them in the same way. The problem is that they don't see themselves in the same way. So, because of the difference of consciousness, you cannot go to a cow to ask for spiritual guidance. You cannot make a dog eater, because their consciousness is different. Their body is different. The body is created by the karma. The karma is based on the consciousness. So this is quite a vast expansion of the discussion, but let's stay on the level, on the topic that all Atmans are parts, are cells of the body of Brahman. Is that clear until now?
It is clear, but again, I have got one question.
Please
That
go ahead.
as you said that this, till that time, I think that I am separate, I am individual, I feel goes, then, but how it will go? Still I am, how it will be achieved? Because I am worshipping, I am eating, I am thinking.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is that even when you remain, focused on the aham, you move the aham kara from the material mode to the spiritual mode. So you think I am, instead of saying aham kara, you say aham bhajami. Just to quickly understand the difference.
Say again, please. Instead of
Instead
uh,
of aham kara, I
hmm,
am doing.
hmm,
Okay, you
hmm,
say aham bhajami, I worship.
Okay.
because it's a different it's a different approach. In the ahankara, you are identifying as the body
Okay.
because you think you want to do things for yourself or for the expansions of your body,
Okay.
such as your family, your country, your
Yes.
species, or
Yes.
whatever. These
Yes.
are all expansions of ahankar.
Okay. So
If you, yes,
how
tell.
how 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 can that be stopped? Right now, starting now, I accordingly I have to correct myself. I that is
Yeah,
my
of course, of course, of course. But this is done, first of all, this is the process of yoga.
hmm,
Okay.
hmm,
Process of yoga, first of all, we know that we have yama niyama.
hmm,
In yama niyama, we have life habits like
hmm,
abstentions and prescriptions.
hmm,
We have to abstain from everything that is reinforcing our material identification,
hmm,
such as, we have to stop eating non-veg food. We have to stop stealing and being, greedy and being,
hmm, hmm.
all
Oh,
these things like
hmm.
me and mine. Okay,
Yes, yes,
we
yes,
we have to stop seeing other person through the eyeglasses of lust.
yes,
So we have this brahmacharya, asteya, aparigraha,
yes,
ahimsa. All these things are
hmm,
abstentions. Okay.
yes, hmm,
Then in the prescriptions we have swadhyaya
hmm,
and ishvara pranidhana.
hmm.
So already in the yama niyama we find a lot of help
Yes,
because we stop doing things that bind us to the material identification.
yes,
And we practice things that help us to remove the material identification.
hmm,
Okay. Then, through the process of asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, we train our mind to become focused
hmm,
on what is important.
hmm,
We train our mind and body to concentrate, to focus, to meditate.
hmm,
Because if we don't learn to focus,
hmm,
we cannot contemplate the Atman.
hmm,
Because we're always distracted by so many things. We're
hmm,
distracted by our bodies and mind.
hmm.
And what all the surrounding objects and all the bodies and minds of other people. So we sit and we learn to control the body, which means
Hmm.
asana. We need to control the emotions, and this means pranayama.
Hmm.
Because through pranayama, through controlling the breathing, we can calm the mind.
Hmm.
When we are angry, we do some pranayama and we become calm. When we are
Okay.
sleeping, we do some pranayama and we wake up.
Yeah.
This is not an end in itself. This is a support for the actual work that is meditation.
Yes.
Okay, so
Hmm.
pratyahara means we become able to withdraw our attention from things that are not useful.
Yes.
So, like Krishna is explaining, like the turtle is withdrawing the limbs inside. So,
Yes.
in the same way, we withdraw the senses from the objects of the senses,
Yes. Yes.
because otherwise we are distracted.
Yes.
Now, after we have learned up to dharana, then we can uh, concentrate without being distracted all the time. So through dharana, we learn to focus, and through dhyan, we apply the concentration to actual meditation on vidya, on the tattva. Because dhyan is not just relaxing and smelling some agarbatti and some nice music. Many people think meditation means that. But that at the best is dharana, it's not dhyana. Dhyana means if you go and see, for example, in the tantric tradition, there is this section of the tantric knowledge that is called dhyan. In all the mantras, the dhyan is you have to meditate on the deity to whom the mantra is addressed. Right? So we have, for example, the Vishnu Sahasranam. You say dhyanam. Shantakaram Bhujagasayanam Padmanabham Suresham. This is a dhyana. The dhyana you have to focus to visualize Vishnu, Padmanabham, who is resting, reclining on Anantashesh. And then you can chant the Vishnu Sahasranam. You can chant the mantra, the stotra, the Vishnu Sahasranam, but the dhyana is you see Vishnu. You remember it's about Vishnu. You understand? So these steps are essential in order to engage in yoga. This is the actual yoga. So dhyana becomes constant because your mind takes the shape of the murti. It is in the Shilpa Shastra, it is explained that the vigraha, the deity, the image of the deity can be fashioned out of a number of material elements, which like the stone, the wood, and the clay, and mind. So when we meditate, when we perform dhyana constantly, when we do sadhana constantly, our mind becomes shaped into the form of the deity. So our mind becomes spiritualized, because the form is not different from God. The name is not different from God. So there we are, our mind takes the form of God. But it's not all the God. You understand? So our mind develops as a Siddha Deha. You understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Because it's not easy to understand. So this is the Siddha Deha. Our mind, supports us to develop our spiritual body. Like Krishna is saying in Gita, we can elevate ourselves through our mind. The mind can be used to develop or to degrade. When we engage our mind in the real yoga, in the sadhana, yoga, tantra, bhakti are the same, one path only. Okay. When we engage our mind in that way, our mind becomes the form of God through which we can approach God. It becomes a vigraha. So, to answer the original question, how do we get there? We just have to engage in yoga. The yoga is a scientific method. It's a complete scientific system that enables us to achieve that goal. Now, yoga you can do through different approaches. Like, for example, bhakti yoga. In bhakti yoga, you still have yama and niyama. You still have asana and pranayama and pratyahara, but the techniques are a little bit different. But in all the forms of yoga, the techniques can be adapted to your particular situation. In all the practices of yoga, yoga, tantra, and bhakti, it is important to meditate on God through the mantra, through the vigraha, through seva, through so many things. So there are 9 forms of bhakti, this Navadha bhakti. Okay, there are 9 forms. You can engage in any of them: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Matmanivedanam. Any of them is a genuine sadhana. Okay, is that clear until now?
Yes, it is clear. It is clear. I'm listening carefully. Then, if at the last, I will ask one thing.
Okay, okay. Well, I think you can ask already now. Let's see what's the question.
Acha, the question is a general question that where this origination originated. This like uh, I am feeling I am part of a Brahman. I am feeling and everyone is feeling, and this birth and death, this cycle. How that originated in the beginning, when manifested, this one Brahman. Then how this it is like how it happens. Then again, all
Yeah, this is a very
yeah,
interesting
you
question.
got it. Is it
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
I got
game?
the point. I got the point. It's an old question.
It is like a
Uh,
game, like a game is playing. One game is going on.
yeah,
Then
it's a lila. It's a lila. I mean,
really,
Vishnu. Vishnu wanted to become many. You know, there's the famous verse, Eko Bahushyat.
hmm,
So Vishnu wanted to become many because in the variety there is enjoyment.
okay,
You understand? You
okay.
have more fun.
Ah, like
The
it is
more
a
the better.
simulated,
The more the
like
merrier.
yes, like a simulated game that when that individual will reach this thing,
Yes,
then it is done.
yes. And just like a parent wants to have children,
Ah,
because a parent wants to have children because he wants to interact with them.
hmm,
And through interaction, everybody becomes more happy.
hmm,
So happiness becomes manifested.
hmm,
So in the beginning, Vishnu, who is not manifested,
hmm,
Narayana Paravyaktat.
hmm,
So in the
hmm,
beginning, Narayana is not manifested. It's transcendental, beyond the Vyakta. Okay. Then
hmm,
what happens? He wants to manifest.
hmm.
Inside Vishnu, there is always Shakti. You cannot separate Vishnu from Shakti.
Acha.
When you separate Vishnu from Shakti, they're still together, but they're distinct. And this, why they manifest in 2 distinct forms? Because they want to dance. So we have Shiva Shakti, we have Radha Krishna, we have, it is, God is manifesting in 2 different, in a couple. in order to enjoy. It's the rasa dance. What is the meaning of ras? Ras means feeling, emotion, perception of happiness, taste. So when God wants to taste happiness, it manifests as a divine couple. Then, of course, the divine couple, they also want to have children. So as we see, in this material world, material life is a reflection of the spiritual life. The difference is that in the spiritual world, God has children, and he enjoys it. In the material world, we have children and sometimes we don't enjoy it. Yeah, because it's we need the proper consciousness. You understand how it works? So we are all in a non-manifested state together with Narayan before the manifestation of the universe as Anu-Atmas. Then the universe becomes manifested. Vishnu enters each universe. We also enter each universe. Then we have the opportunity to develop our consciousness. When we have developed our consciousness enough, when we have developed as Siddhadeha, then we become free to manifest or not manifest like Vishnu. Because we are grown up. When we start from the non-manifested state into the manifested state, we are like babies. We are not independent. We are not self-sufficient. Then we develop the Siddha Deha, we become independent, self-sufficient, and we know we are conscious parts of God's body. When we are not developed, we are still parts of God's body, but we're not so conscious. So it's all a matter of development of consciousness. You're following?
Yes, following,
Okay.
getting it, clearing.
Okay. Does it answer your question, or still some fog is there?
No. My doubt is, I was also thinking in this part, only you have stamped it to finalize that.
Yes, exactly. Now I am trying to remember. There is the Radha Stuti that is mentioning that Radha is this river. I'll have to find that particular stuti. Let me see if I can find it easily on the internet. Let's see, Radha Stuti. Anyway, in the meantime, we can develop more questions if you want. If you want to ask further.
No, not today. Let me have one doubt in my mind, then I will.
Okay.
One
Okay,
question
let
I
me
have.
see. I found the Radha Stuti.
Hey
Let me
Jagannath,
see.
am I audible?
Radha Rasheshwari Ramya Ranacha Paramatvana Rasudbhava Krishna Kanta Krishna Vaksha Salasita Padmalayam Krishna Pranadi Devicha Mahavishnu Prasurapi Sarvadya Vishnu Mayacha Satanita Sanatani Brahma Swarupa Parama Nirlipta Nirguna Para Viraja, no Vaitarani, Viraja, yes. The name of this river is called Viraja. The Viraja is the river that distinguishes the bank of the material world from the bank of the spiritual world. This is why the tirtha, when we go to tirtha, the water is important. So it's all everything in Hinduism is very deeply symbolical. And we can constantly be reminded of the transcendental reality on so many levels. So it's extremely deep. Okay, any other question?
No more question today.
Okay,
I have one
so
question.
please.
So we were talking about this individuality and all, but we also hear that after liberation, also individuality remains. Is it or?
Yes, definitely. Like I was saying before, each molecule of water will still remain 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. But because it is inside the ocean, it doesn't have any separate interest from the ocean.
Okay. So whatever his, like, maybe we can, in one sense, we can say whatever his desires or whatever is merged
Yes,
with the Brahman. So there is no separate desire.
exactly. There is no separation in the sense that it doesn't think about anything else.
Okay, okay.
There is no more separation material separation, due to ahankara and mamata.
Okay. But
So,
when we think about the entering into the Leela of Bhagwan,
yes.
so that separation would still remain, or how
Yes,
long?
of course it still remains. But we just think about Krishna.
Okay.
All our consciousness is focused on Krishna. That's why it's called Krishna consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the molecule of water that is totally focused on being water in the ocean, just being water. It's not a drop or on a on a stone, or it's or a part of something else. It's a pure water that is totally and perfectly happy in its natural position in the ocean. And still, the ocean has so many varieties. It's not that in the ocean there is no variety. Variety is there, but it's on the spiritual level, because everything is focused on Satchitananda. There is no grain of sand in the rice pudding. So the kiri is very good. There is no sand in the kiri. This is the difference. In the material world, the material identifications and attachments are separating, giving us the illusion that we are separated. Separation is due to Maya, because there is no place where we can be separated from Brahman. Because if God is omnipresent, where can we be separated from God? It's nonsense. Now, this illusion can be managed by Mahamaya, who makes us think, yes, yeah, well, but religion is religion. I have my life. I have to go to work. I have to pay the mortgage, and I have to do, all this stuff, and see, okay, this, I think about that maybe 1 hour a week, and then, I'll be happy like that. I've done my work. This is Mahamaya. And the Yoga Maya is also giving the feeling of separation, like we see in the example of Chaitanya. the Chaitanya was always thinking of Krishna in the feeling, in the sentiment of separation, vipralambha. That was Yogamaya, and that appeared to be like suffering, but it was actually happiness. It's not so easy to to understand, but it has been confirmed by everyone, because you can also experience that. It's not so difficult, because it's just a very simple matter of dropping material identifications and attachments. It's very simple. Ahankara and mamatra. As soon as we remove these material identifications and attachments, then we don't have any bondage anymore. Whether we live or die or whatever, what's the difference? We are not the body.
Mataji,
Please.
After today's discussion, what I understood that many times that example of sea, ocean, and waves, I have heard of that, like Brahman and Atman, like waves are generated from ocean and is submerged there. This example has been quoted in many texts,
Yes.
all. Okay, that part I understood, but now just in the last 5 minutes, when Sudeep ji asked you that this individualized that thinking will remain after getting full consciousness also. This part again I have got doubt. Then why that separateness will continue after the realizing also? That is my question.
That's the same like we said before, that God manifested in the divine couple for fun, for enjoyment. So in the material world, we are separated. We try to find enjoyment, but because we are not focused on the center,
so
we are
then
imbalanced.
so then this where is that? Suppose I am Arun. Suppose this is for this life. Then again, I was in another life, and I will be in another life. So, is that fixed? Is what is that? That concept I want. Suppose I am Arun. Okay, I am Arun. I am talking to you. I am son of this, and this Arun will die. But what will remain again? Is that permanent? Is that permanent?
Yes.
And permanent for everybody, permanent for you, permanent for Sudhirji, and permanent for every anyone.
Yes. It's part of consciousness. Consciousness is permanent. Consciousness is without limits. Consciousness is.
But still, then it is differentiated consciousness.
Yes, but it's differentiated. Okay. It's like, what is a maze, a labyrinth? A maze. It's like one kind of, just
Game.
imagine a garden with very high hedges.
Yes.
And when you are inside the maze, you cannot see things clearly. Because you have all these plants, or the forest. You're in the forest, you cannot see where you are. Okay. But if you get out and you see the forest from up, from outside the forest, you can see everything in a very clear manner.
Okay.
Now, when you rise above the forest, you rise above the specific individual material limitations.
Okay.
So you can see the entire karmic journey you have had
Hmm.
in many lifetimes.
Hmm.
So you still remember, but you don't identify with any of them.
Hmm.
It's like when you wear many clothes, you have many outfits.
Hmm.
When you're wearing one outfit, you cannot wear another one.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, when
Hmm.
you remove all the outfits and you
Hmm.
look at all the outfits in your wardrobe,
Hmm.
you can see the difference.
Hmm.
If you look at yourself, you look at the outfit while you're wearing it and you look at it in the mirror, you cannot see the outfit very well.
Hmm.
In the same way, our material personalities,
Hmm.
lifetime after lifetime,
Hmm.
are just relative situations, are just material identification, ahankar and mamata.
Hmm.
But you can still use them. It's not
Hmm.
that you have to throw away your outfits.
Hmm.
You can continue to use your outfits, but remember, you're not the dress.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so in the same way, you can see the dresses worn by other people. Other people are also wearing different dresses.
Hmm.
But the dresses can be changed all the time. They change all the time.
Hmm.
So this is why I find it is very, very useful
Hmm.
to remember previous lifetimes. Because the mechanics of reincarnation are
Hmm.
specifically engineered to help us become detached from material limitations. Because you've been everything and it's opposite.
Okay.
So in one lifetime you're a man, next lifetime you're a woman.
Yeah. Maybe. Or. Yeah. Yes.
The other way around. It's okay.
Yes.
You know. So,
But.
this lifetime you're Indian, next lifetime you can be American or Italian or, African, who knows?
But there is my question. What is that?
Exactly,
That is.
exactly. The point is that to understand that all these identifications and attachments are temporary and relative,
Hmm.
are like dresses.
Hmm.
We have to die and take birth again with a different dress.
Hmm.
So when we have had a sufficient number of dresses,
Hmm.
it's easier to understand this is just a dress.
Yes.
If you've not had many dresses in your life, maybe you
Hmm.
have just had one in your entire life, and you kept stitching some, more pieces as you were growing up. So you just
Hmm.
had one dress, and you think you are that dress.
Hmm.
You cannot contemplate your existence without that dress. You identify with that dress.
Hmm.
But this
So
is
then.
crucial.
So then there is no identification when the dress is removed. When the
Mm.
dress is removed, then is there any identification? That is what I'm. My
Yeah,
question.
identity is still there, but it's spiritual identity. It's not
What what is that
dependent on
identity?
the dresses.
Is there any number? Is there any uh, or like digitized symbol formula? Like in hydrogen, oxygen, there is some structure. Something is
Yes,
there.
yes, yes, yes.
Is there any like stamp? Suppose when we are sending messages, digitized they are not getting all the signals are going together, not getting mixed, because they are having one tag.
Arunji, we are
uh,
consciousness. Everything is consciousness. How can
mm,
we not be conscious? We have to understand it's all about consciousness. We cannot get confused on the transcendental level because we are consciousness. We are conscious about everything, not only of this present body, but of all the bodies, not our only the bodies that we have used, but also the bodies of all other beings. And this is why God is omniscient. God is conscious of everything. So we can also be conscious of everything. we don't need to wear a dress to have an identity, because it's the identity we choose.
mm,
We can modulate whatever sound we want. You know, we don't have one name. We can have many names. What's the problem? Even within this limited materially identified life, each one of us has many names. You know, we can call, you can call, you can have a first name, and you have a family name, and you are called brother or son or
yes,
husband or friend or your honor or, student number, roll, blah, blah, you have
yes,
many.
yes.
How can you confuse them?
Mm,
You don't, because you're conscious of all these names.
okay,
You understand? Because your consciousness includes all this. You're conscious. You don't need to confuse anything.
okay.
The problem is that our limited mind that is identified materially
Mm,
cannot include the entire consciousness.
yes, yes.
This is why it's called achintya. The Atman is achintya because it cannot be included into the mind.
Yes, 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 yes,
This is why we have to overcome not only identification with the body, but also the identification with the mind.
yes,
And this is done beautifully when you contemplate the process of reincarnation. So you become all these different people.
yes,
And it's still you. You
yeah,
are, as because you have developed more, you have included all these experiences.
yes,
So you have become greater. So the more experiences and consciousness and knowledge you include, the bigger you become.
yes,
At some point, you keep breaking down walls, and then you don't build walls anymore.
yes,
So first we have this little room with very thick walls. Then we break
mm,
down these walls and we move the walls, further and further, and every time the room becomes bigger.
yes,
Just imagine we totally give up with the walls. We stop
yes,
building walls. We,
yes.
we, we don't become lost
Mm,
because we are still us, you
mm,
know, but we
mm,
don't need walls to tell us who we are.
mm,
You understand?
yes,
So, so many people, they never seen the world outside the walls.
yes,
So when you
yes,
tell them that you have to, stop building walls, break down the ones you have and not build anymore,
yes,
they go into a panic
yes,
because they think they will lose themselves.
yeah,
You know, how will I know who I am? Yeah, okay, you don't worry. You know, you don't need words.
Hmm.
Is this clearer?
Yes, clear. Let me think again and again and again. Let me Let me
So
contemplate. Let me
excellent.
Then I'll come
Perfect.
back with.
Perfect.
Uh,
So I think for today we can stop here.
yes,
We
today we
can
can
stop
stop here.
recording.
I have
Uh,
to.
we
Hmm.
okay. We stop recording,
Hmm.
and then Sudeep is